So today I'm going to show you how I make little rosette rings. I add a little extra flair on them, but you can make them just the very basic one with the center rosette. So I start off generally with 16 gauge wire. You can use 18 and 14 as well. 14 will be a little harder to do, and the 18 would be a little easier. So to start, you might want to start with an 18 just to practice. You'll see me get a little frustrated midway because I haven't made these in a while. So my technique is a little in need of improvement at the moment. Anyway, so right now I'm just going to measure out how much I need. I usually will wrap it around the ring, around the area or the size that I'm looking for. So here I'm doing a 7. They tend to get a little bit bigger as you work through, so size down when you're measuring it initially. So the 7 will end up being an 8 at the end. Now I'm just going to straighten it back out. I go around twice and then give it about an inch to 2 inches on each side, depending on how much you want as decoration. So just straightening it. I use my flat cutters to make sure the edges are flat. Before I hammer. And just hammer away. I'm trying to get like a flat edge. It doesn't have to be an aggressively flat edge. It's just to slightly square off the stock or the wire. Very gently. And I'm using a rubber block at the bottom, as well as my little mini anvil. Rubber blocks you can pick up on Amazon, sort of in the $20 mark. And the mini anvils are a bit more expensive, but are extremely handy for these types of little projects. And I just sort of go back and correct it. Now I'm going to create the hammered lip. So I'm using the rounded edge to gently, very gently, I'm not really putting much pressure at all, just gently hammering to create that effect. And again, you just keep going back and correcting it as you go. Otherwise, it really sort of leans and warps quite a bit, and then it just takes a lot more effort to correct. See it as it curls? You see that pretty effect? And you do have to do it on both sides if you want both sides to have it. If you apply too much pressure though when you're doing it, you will get like the piece of metal won't be straight anymore. The edges will have dings out where the metal has sort of pushed itself past with the more aggressive hammering. So it really is a very light touch. And I am using copper-filled wire that's just coated with like a bronze finish. You can use copper, brass, aluminum, anything really that you like, as long as it's, sturdy enough gauge. So now that I've done the hammering, I am going to start the wrapping. And you wrap around once, and then you go around a second time. Try to keep it as even as you can, but you can always trim. Or lean one more to one side than the other. And try to use my messier looking one for the hammering so I don't mess up my nice new ring sizer. And I am using the rounded edge just to give it more of that hammered finish. Flip it around. You can continue as try to make it as even as you can. You can sand off a little bit of the bronze too. The teeth from the pliers will mar it a bit. Usually I have coatings on it or the nylon tips, but I've somehow lost all of those pliers and the coating is all gone. So I apologize if it's a little marred when I'm completed the project. Anyway, so now you've crossed them over each other, and what you're going to do, try to flatten it, give yourself a really good start point, and then you're going to pull one down and one up. So you're going to crisscross them basically. And that's sort of the base fundamental of the whole thing. You twist one side, and then you twist the other side around it. And you try to go under the top layer. So in between the actual circular ring and the flower that you're creating. And that's how you sort of create the relief look of the rosette. And I usually tap hammer as I go. So again, pull again, and then you pull the other one under it. You need to sort of put your thumb over it and really give it a good stiff anchoring there at the beginning. And you just continue tucking it under. I've done this with thinner wire and beaded the wire, which is also a very pretty look. Just a bit different as well, obviously. A little harder to manipulate with the beads on it. You have to be a bit more gentle. I would suggest practicing with these sort of more substantial versions to start. So at this point you could just cut those wires and tuck it under and call it done and make it just a simple rosette. Or you can continue. And literally I would just use my scrolling pliers and scroll underneath and pinch until it lies flat under the ring. What I'm doing here though, is creating a loop with my loop tool that makes that perfect little eyelet. Just to get like the rounded edge started. If I'd have some smaller pliers, maybe that would work out better, but I'm going to have to trim a little bit part of the interior loop, and then you use that to start with my scrolling pliers. As you can see, I'm going to use my flat cutters just to cut off that tip, and that's what I'm using. It does give you a nice starting curl, like that, if you have difficulty getting those starting curls. And then you just really need a strong hand and apply pressure. clamp as hard as you can and twist. And I just sort of hammer as I go along. Today I was having a little trouble with this, but normally I'm usually pretty good with this technique. If you need to, you can always put your metal on like a heating pad or something before you start to warm it up, which makes it a lot more pliable for these sort of issues. Just keep trying different pliers till you find one that has strong enough grip for you. That one got going pretty good. And again, just trying to create that pretty finish for it. And curl, and curl. It takes quite a bit of pressure on your thumb, on your pliers hand. So just be aware that it will be tougher than you think it is for the initial curling. But you see, get a nice tight little curl. And just continue. And I usually stop a little short so I can hammer it one last time on my little anvil. This side seemed to start a little easier. And I just can't get the pliers in there. But there we go. I've made a lot of these rings over the years. I just haven't been doing them for quite a while. So getting back into it. I might make a few more videos with like the beading and stuff when I get a chance. Let me know if you're interested in seeing that as well. Just keep bending and turning and bending and turning. Make sure the spirals are going in different directions, just for visual purposes. I always think it looks nicer when they're clockwise. Here I'm getting a little bit of a stronger wax than I would at the beginning. Now we're sort of finalizing the area. It also helps stiffen the metal. And this would be the point where I would either sand it or change the finish if I was going to. And, you know, there's enough room to really give them a good twist, so let's go ahead and do that. You just have to fudge around with it a little, see where you like the placement. I'm just gonna give it its last little hammering. I think I like where it's all at. I usually hammer the back as well. Sometimes it shifts or twists a little as you're pulling the coils at the end. And here I've put them all into one side. I kind of like that look today. I try to make them all a little different. I like that unique individualized pieces like that. I think that makes it just that little bit more special. And there's the final piece. Again, you can do little sanding or anything like that. And I'm just going to show you a couple of the rings I made today. So here's one where they're on the opposite sides. And here's one in brass with just the rosette tucked under.